I will never put my loved one in a nursing home. The deplorable conditions. One nurse by the name of Leanne Sample was bought by a private investor, and then it started falling apart. The ceiling collapsed, the air conditioner wasn't working regularly, the toilet burst even while this nurse was trying to render aid in the bathroom, and she testified in a court deposition about how disgusting the place was. The decrepit conditions this nurse, Leanne Sample, described were due to lack of money, according to her. Over 7 years, the Villages of Orleans Health and Rehabilitation Center, located in Western New York near Lake Ontario, paid nearly $16 million to its landlord, a company owned by the same investors who owned the nursing home. From those coffers, the owners paid themselves and family members nearly $10 million, while residents injured themselves from falling, developed bed sores, missed medication, and stewed in their own urine and feces because of alleged shortage of aid. At the height of the pandemic, lavish payments flowed into real estate management and staffing companies financially linked to the nursing home owners throughout New York. Nearly half the state's 600 plus nursing homes hired companies run or controlled by their same owners, frequently paying them well above the cost of services, according to the Kaiser Analysis report, who came out with this report. And the federal government was giving the facilities hundreds of millions of dollars because of fiscal relief, because this was COVID. The federal government was giving these facilities hundreds of millions of dollars in fiscal relief because of the pandemic. In 2020, these affiliated corporations collectively amassed profits of $269 million, yielding average margins of 27%, while the nursing homes that hired them were strained by staff shortages, harrowing injuries, mounting deaths from COVID and other conditions. All of this is in state records. Before I get into the deplorable conditions and the fraud that is happening in many nursing homes across the country, this is the legal code, and on this channel we discuss different and various legal topics, whether that relates to public policy, laws that are coming down the pike, laws that affect small business owners and families. We also discuss trademark and copyright. So it's an informative channel so that you can be aware and you're not blindsided by anything. And so I try to make this channel a hub for legal information. So if you like that sort of thing, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course share with anyone else you think will find value. Also, I have planned a medical tourism trip for those who are underinsured or do not have health insurance and are in dire need of seeing a physician or a dentist. 40 million Americans do not have adequate health insurance, and even more so the amount of layoffs that have happened after the pandemic. During the pandemic, so many Americans lost their health insurance, and so their health was neglected. So what we're seeing now in terms of the medical tourism community is a rebound where people are desperately seeking physicians in other countries because it's just unaffordable in the United States. So this is why I have this trip planned. It's economical. There's a flat fee, which includes your accommodations, your 2 meals a day for 2 weeks, your accommodations for 2 weeks, 2 meals a day, transportation, as well as your diagnostic, whether that's MRIs, x-rays, blood work that needs to be done. All of that is contained in the flat fee. All you would have to come out of pocket is whatever spending money that you would like to have on this trip, as well as your airfare. So it's a very economical trip because I believe healthcare is a right, and most countries believe that, including Colombia. Colombia federal government pours millions of dollars into the healthcare, which allows it to offer universal healthcare to its citizens, as well as to foreigners who often travel to Colombia in order to seek care. Colombia is ranked number 22 in the world as it relates to healthcare, outranking both the United States as well as Canada. It is well regarded and respected internationally. So if you're concerned about whether or not the healthcare is advanced enough, it's more advanced than the United States. It's less expensive than the United States and other Western countries. Most of the doctors on my roster have been educated in Europe or the United States and decided to travel back to their country and practice medicine in an ethical way that they may not have been able to practice it the same same way in the United States, where it's a market-driven, not a care-focused model in the United States. So the dates are on the website. If you have further questions, you can reach out to me and we'll answer any questions that you may have regarding that. Now let's discuss nursing homes in the United States and hear the accounts of people who were working in nursing homes. So during the worst year of New York's pandemic, nursing homes were desperately short of staffing and the residents were dying by the thousands. Some nursing home owners managed to come out with millions and millions of dollars ahead of the curve. Some nursing home owners moved money from their facilities through corporate arrangements that are widespread and legal in every state to affiliated corporations known as related parties that their owners also own. So they invest in or control the leadership and then outsource operations, the equipment, to companies that they also own. So they get paid on one end, and then they get the tax benefit on the other, and then they get paid again. So many nursing homes don't even own their buildings. They rent the space from a related company or a company that they own. Nursing homes pay related parties more than $12 billion a year, but federal regulations does not make them reveal how much they charge above the cost of services and how much money ends up in owners' bank accounts. Draining nursing home coffers through related parties may amount to fraud. A handful of other New York owners facing lawsuits from the Attorney General Letitia James that claim that they pocketed millions from their enterprises that the authorities say should have been used for patient care. Federal Medicaid experts warned in January that the transactions with affiliated companies that share the same owner as the nursing home or controlled by the same people may artificially inflate the cost of nursing home care in reports that facilities file to the government. And the U.S. Department of Health is investigating whether homes properly report related party costs. Now, lawyers for this nursing home in West New York, the Villages, and its investors have asked the judge in the case for a delay until April to respond to the allegations of fraud and resident neglect in the lawsuit that the Attorney General filed in November 2022. One of the lawyers, Cornelius Murray, said in court papers that many allegations of short staffing occurred during the pandemic when workers were out sick and the facilities were required to accept any patient who had COVID. The attorneys for the Villages declined to discuss the case. Staff shortage is one thing, but that does not explain the nursing homes paying themselves on the front end and then in their affiliated agencies and companies, totally depleting resources and not even updating equipment, facilities, draining the coffers of both the state, the city, the federal government. And individuals staying in the nursing homes, on average, are charged $6,000 to $9,000 a month. And the inflated cost goes to these executives, these owners. In a deposition with this nursing home, one of the owners disputed that he, as an investor, was improperly depleting the resources to the detriment of the residents. He went on records to say in the deposition, "I can assure you there was a lot of money left in the facility to make sure that it was not running on a shoestring budget." He even said that the facility was beautiful, with beautiful gardens, where residents looked great and employee morale was strong.
I am so sad. My mom is in a nursing home. Do y'all know we had to clean her room up? I mean, as soon as we got there, it was so disgusting. We had to clean it, sweep, mop. I had to ask for clean sheets, make her bed up and everything. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, that makes no sense at all.
Was not the opinion of Margaret Volkmer, the wife of one of the residents. She said in an affidavit filed with the state lawsuit that her husband was left in his bed with only a diaper on, was bruised by a fall, choked by another resident, given the wrong medication doses, dressed in other residents' clothing, covered in bruises that could not be explained. After she moved him into another home, she testified he gained back 60 pounds that he had lost while he was staying in the previous facility. She said she would not even put a dog in that nursing home. A dog would get better care than he did.
Beverly, what do you need now? my cosmetic case over here.
You can't reach that?
No, I can't.
Really?
I can't. I'll fall out.
Okay, do you see that I'm trying to work? And you have called me in here 4 times for nothing. Just crap.
Thank you.
You see that I'm...
Both the Villages and its related real estate corporation, Telegraph Realty, were controlled by the same trio of investors, although they arranged for the nursing home to be listed in regulatory filings as solely owned by a silent partner and did not disclose the co-ownership of the Villages. One co-owner, David Gass, disclosed his net worth at $22 million and revealed that he had shares in more than 100 nursing homes, according to a loan application included in court records. Lahansky, another co-owner whose disclosed net worth was $73 million, said in a deposition that he was the biggest nursing home proprietor in Pennsylvania and owned one of the New York's largest ambulance companies. A third owner, Sam Halper, who reported a net worth of $23 million, is under federal criminal indictment in Pennsylvania on charge of submitting false reports to the government about staffing and patient health at 2 nursing homes. He has so far pleaded not guilty. Added together, all the investors in corporations tied to the Villages have stakes or official roles in 275 other facilities across 28 states, according to federal records. The lease that the Villages had with Telegraph Realty required the home to pay up to $1 million in profits on top of the cost of debt and $50,000 a month rent. The Attorney General alleged that over 7 years, the owners gave themselves and other investors more than $18 million from outsized rent profits, management fees, and proceeds from refinancing the property. When you see quality of care decline, questions needs to be asked. What is going on with the finances? Inflated rents paid to sister companies aren't uncommon. A lot of nursing homes do it. Separating a nursing home operations and its building into 2 corporations is a common practice around the country. In New York, for-profit nursing homes with related party realty companies spent 19% more than their operating revenue toward rent in 2020 than did for-profits that lease to unaffiliated firms. So of course, a company that also owns the realty company, they both own the same company, is going to charge an inflated rent because they want the maximum amount of profits, even if that amount is unconscionable. Another company that has to pay rent to a non-related company, of course that nursing home will have to pay the market rent, because that's what the market calls for. Now, Fulton's Commons Care Center, a nursing home on Long Island, spent nearly a third of its 2012 revenue on rent, a higher portion than all but 3 other facilities in New York. Both the home and the real estate company were owned by Moishe Kelter and his extended family, according to the documents filed in the lawsuit. In 2020, the nursing home paid nearly $10 million in rent to Fulton Realty, but the auditor for the Attorney General calculated the property expenses should have been less than $6 million. The owners of Fulton and their families gave themselves nearly $16 million over 4 years from inflated rent, substantial management fees, no-show jobs for Kelter's 8 children, and other miscellaneous charges. Rather than honor their legal duty to ensure the highest possible care for the residents, the Fulton Common owners allegedly maintain insufficient staffing so that they can maintain and keep more money for their own personal gains. Now, this is just one community that I am speaking of, one region, and where these deplorable practices, and the government needs to do more in terms of intervening and stopping it, because taxpayers are paying for this. And to boot, these nursing home facilities, the government has given a green light for these nursing home facilities. In order to receive care, the state puts a lien on people's personal property. So these nursing homes are just evergreen. Money coming in from the state, money coming in from the city, draining state coffers, draining people's personal assets putting liens on people's personal properties, walking away with millions of dollars a year. And the government is not doing enough to put a kibosh on this. Let me know your thoughts. This is one of the many reasons why I would never put my loved one in a nursing home. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, that this can happen in plain sight. Most of it legal, and no one is overseeing. What is the agency that oversees nursing homes? If you know, in the comment section, please let me know. And that is it. Let me know in the comment sections what you think about these nursing homes paying themselves on the front end and the back end, and then also receiving taxpayers' money through the form of Medicaid and Medicare. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.